The Cincinnati Reds have been extremely inconsistent this whole season. They should have the depth and pitching to make a run at a wildcard spot, but they've basically been a few games back of the wildcard all season, with the Cubs and Brewers taking full control of the NL Central. The Reds are left to fight for a wildcard spot with the Padres, Giants, and Diamondbacks, who would probably all be playoff teams in the American League, but this is the National League, and the Reds are going to have a tough time getting in. But given Terry Francona's track record in the second half of seasons, and the fact that many Reds hitters are getting back on track from a down season in 2024, I think the Reds are poised to go on a massive run to end the 2025 season and make the postseason for the first time in 5 years. And before I get into the video, make sure to subscribe to Ace Ball Entertainment. Got some great baseball content out there, so if you're looking for some shorts and quick things like that, just go subscribe to Ace Ball Entertainment. On any given night, you never know when the hitting's going to be there. Sometimes you never know when the pitching's going to be there. And, they just had a series against Washington where they lost the first 2 games, looked like they were about to get swept, and then won the last one like 5-0. Now, the Reds are the only team in the MLB not to get swept yet, which is pretty crazy, at least the time that I'm recording this video. But yeah, the Reds have been kind of frustrating to watch. I mean, they should have good pitching, and I believe they really do. The hitting's been there for the most part compared to last year, but sometimes you just don't know what team is going to show up, and I think that's the most frustrating thing to watch as a fan sometimes. I pretty much try to watch every game that I can. Sometimes it's a bit difficult, but yeah, sometimes their inconsistencies definitely been frustrating at times. Obviously, you can see I'm putting up some numbers on the screen right now, but the Reds are a very, very average team, and you can see with batting average, home runs, even some pitching numbers too. They're pretty much right in the middle of the pack when it comes to ERA and things like that. So yeah, the Reds, they're pretty much like the most average team in baseball right now if you really had to quantify the numbers. I know, some of their numbers could probably be closer to, let's say, like 15 or 16, but the Reds, like I said, they're a very average team. But also, I think Terry Francona, he's been the perfect hire for this squad. You can see how well he builds relationship and trust with his players. And as I said at the beginning of the video, his teams always play better in the second half. And the 2025 Reds, they've won quite a bit whenever they get off to a good start, especially in the first inning. I think that is going to be key for them going into the second half of the season. Can they get runs aboard early on, right? If Elly De La Cruz, if TJ Friedl especially, if these guys can get on base early, it usually leads to this team having success and a majority of the time winning games when they score a lot in the first inning. So I think that's going to be key in this second half. Now moving to the pitching, the starting rotation has been honestly pretty elite. I mean, Martinez, he's had his ups and downs, though he was really, really good last year. And Brady Singer coming over from that Jonathan India trade, he's definitely had his ups and downs too. But other than that, I mean, Andrew Abbott pretty much been a Cy Young candidate. Hunter Green, he was pretty good before his injury, but he should be back to kind of end off this second half of the season. And Nick Lodolo has looked really, really good. He kind of had a rough end to last year, still had a winning pitching record, but yeah, Lodolo, he's been excellent, man. But Lodolo recently just had a complete game shutout versus the Nationals, so he's definitely looking like he's back on track compared to how he ended off last season, which is really good to see. But yeah, this Red starting rotation, easily one of the best in baseball, and will be even better once Hunter Green comes back healthy. And even with the inconsistencies, right, with the pitching, the bullpen has still been pretty solid for the most part. I mean, especially like Santillan, Barlow, and Rogers, they've been pretty solid, though, kind of with a lot of the pitchers on this staff, depending who it is, right? They've had their ups and downs too. And then, Emilio Pagan, he quickly usurped the closer role from Alexis Diaz, who pretty much quickly got traded to the Dodgers, which is pretty crazy just considering, Diaz was an all-star just 2 years ago for the Reds. And now all of a sudden, like, he gets traded to the Dodgers and he's been in the minors. Like, it's kind of crazy, but Emilio Pagan, right? He's been a closer in his career, sort of, I guess you could say. With the Tampa Bay Rays, I believe he got like 20-something saves or something like that. And he's been a really good reliever for the Reds this year, but most especially as their closer. You can see the numbers on the screen. But yeah, basically, because Pagan quickly, took over that closing role when Diaz was injured to start the season, when Diaz came back and had his struggles, it pretty much just forced him out. And like I said, this is crazy because Diaz was just an all-star in 2023, but sometimes that's just how quickly things can change if, you're not performing up to expectations. Also with the pitching, last thing to mention, the Reds seem to be drafting some good pitching as well over the last couple years. I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with their farm system, and obviously their young pitching staff is already really talented at the top end, especially with Green, Abbott, Lodolo, and yeah, definitely all the guys they got coming up, especially like Chase Burns. I know he's had his struggles, but he's probably gonna get back on track here, I would say. And if he needs more time in the minors, he needs more time in the minors. Now, let's get to some of the vets on this team from a hitting perspective. The Reds, early in the season, they got off the Candelario contract. So that was kind of an interesting thing. I believe he signed like it was either like a 2-year $40 million deal or a 3-year $60 million deal. And yeah, he was injured this year. Kind of had his ups and downs last year, but really just wasn't performing well to start the season. And obviously the Reds got other options. They got a very deep squad, and yeah, they decided it was best to get off the Candelario contract. Then with Jose Trevino, he's been a perfect backup catcher. He has been hitting pretty well for most of the season. He's kind of had his struggles as of late at the plate, but Jose Trevino, been absolutely perfect to back up Tyler Stephenson. They had Austin Wynns as well to start the season. Now he's on the Oakland Athletics, or I guess the Sacramento Athletics. And then Austin Hayes and Gavin Lux, both having, in a sense, breakout campaigns, more so for Austin Hayes. The struggle with Hayes, though, he's got the power. He can pretty much hit, singles and doubles really well. He's just had great plate discipline this year, it seems like. But yeah, both guys are having tremendous seasons. Gavin Lux been healthy all year, been pretty solid in left field whenever the Reds need a quick single. But yeah, Austin Hayes, he just kind of had struggles staying healthy the past couple years, and I think if he can the second half of the year, he's going to be a perfect complement to Elly De La Cruz in that like 3 and 4 spot, right? So should be pretty neat to see. But really, obviously the main guy on this team, right, is Elly De La Cruz. He is continuing his upward trajectory as an MLB superstar. You can see the numbers up on the screen, but continue to increase his batting average, OPS. I think on both sides of the plate too, obviously because he's a switch hitter. He seems to be just becoming more disciplined at the plate overall. The swing's looking really smooth. He's made some tweaks to that, especially over the past year with his stance and kind of how he's starting his swing and things like that. So that's been also neat to see. But Elly De La Cruz, he's pretty much the reason I got back into baseball. So yeah, he's been absolutely excellent this year, and he's continuing his upward trajectory as a superstar. TJ Friedl. Now, the stats show, I believe I had heard like John Sadik say something about this last season, but a healthy TJ Friedl is maybe the biggest key for the Reds staying in the wild card race this year. Now, Friedl, he seems to get hit by pitches a lot, which is kind of strange sometimes. I really don't know why that is. And, he's had his struggles at the plate as of late, at least when I'm recording this video. But having Friedl healthy in center field, he's obviously amazing defensively. He's a pretty solid hitter. Like I said, has had his struggles as of late, though. But a healthy TJ Friedl just makes this Reds team so much more competitive and so much better. And I think that is a huge reason they have stayed in this wild card race, despite the inconsistencies at both ends, really throughout this whole entire season so far. And Spencer Steer, he's pretty much my favorite player on this team. He finally broke out of his early season slump, and he's really broken out as an elite defensive first baseman. He's just a great all-around utility player, and if he can really continue to get his hitting going here the second half of the season, maybe you have one of those stretches where he hits a bunch of home runs, like when he had like a 3 home run game, I believe like a month or 2 ago or something like that. That'd be really good for this team. But Steer is already amazing defensively, but if he can provide you that hitting and that power, that just makes him so much more valuable. Now we get to Matt McLain. He's mightily struggled all year. He's kind of shown some signs over the past month of regaining his 2023 form. He's already an elite defensive second baseman and base runner, and he's just overall a high IQ player, right? You need him defensively. That's why Terry Francona has continued to play him every day, despite the struggles at the plate. He has shown signs of improvement. That power seems to be coming back, so we will see. Also, Noelvi Marte, he's gotten back on track with his 2023 numbers, but he has also really struggled to stay healthy. He will probably be the everyday third baseman, as long as he's healthy, but yeah, he's definitely got some great power too. He's really got the potential, honestly, to be one of the better third basemen in baseball. Maybe not just from a defensive standpoint, but really from a power and a hitting standpoint. So, like I said, he's just got to stay healthy. That's really his main thing. Now we move to Jake Fraley. He's pretty much been red hot, but he's also been struggling to stay healthy too this season, but he's been really getting his hitting going as of late. And I think at the bottom of the lineup, you need guys like Marte and Fraley because they really balance everything out, right? The Reds have been sort of top heavy over the past year in a way, especially from, a hitting perspective. And so having Fraley and Marte at the bottom of that lineup, I think really balances things out. And really this balanced attack, I think it's going to be really tough for opposing pitchers, especially relievers when you get late into games. And you can see the Reds maybe having a better ability to come back late in games like they did when this really young squad broke out in 2023. And Espinal, he's just been Santiago Espinal, right? Really good glue guy, really good just all-around player. He's a utility guy, right? You can pretty much play anywhere, can get you a single here and there. I don't even think he has any home runs this year, which is kind of crazy. Maybe that will change by the time I upload this video, but we will see. And then lastly, players to be aware of: Will Benson and Christian Encarnacion Strand. Christian Encarnacion Strand was sent down to the minors recently. Don't know when he'll be back, but just, yeah, his plate discipline seemed to be off before he got sent back down. And now that, Spencer Steer's broken out at first base, now that the Reds are getting healthy, really just there wasn't much of a need for Christian Encarnacion Strand on the main Reds roster right now. And Will Benson, obviously since getting called back up, he's been, better to some degree. Definitely had his struggles though as of late, but still hits for power really well. And yeah, I think he's going to be important towards the second half of this season, especially towards the end of the season when the Reds hopefully try to make that playoff push in September. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching this first video. Subscribe for more potentially. I'm going to see how many videos I can put out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.